just press the R button, so we have officially begun.
I guess Mike's not gonna be here, so.
Nah, he texted me.
Oh, did he?
He
Okay.
texted you?
No,
I
I'm
looked
not.
like it was a group chat that
Okay.
he texted, like he texted both at the same
He
time.
could have, but I'm close to it. I gotta get the what's it called set up too, the phone.
Yeah, do that. Is any other fans on? Or
That's it. I got this small one, but I'm gonna cut it off in a few minutes.
that garage door is open, and that's fine, but are they going to do any blowing or anything?
Go ahead and close it. I'd rather close it, that way I don't forget it. Oh, did you unplug the fridge? Oh, man.
Crazy. We gotta unplug the fridge. That's how sensitive that.
Hey, that shows you got good quality stuff there, bud.
No.
Or it's cheap as all.
What was that?
I said, or it's cheap as all.
Ah.
Hey, point it back. Point it back. See what it says. Rewind. So how was your night?
First of all.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you got a shirt on. Ooh, oh, you're dressed to bear. Dressed to kill. Hey, what is that? Your mom dressed you this morning? That's a cut. That's not a. That's a burn.
That's a good one.
Thank you. I mean,
just letting you know.
Yeah.
I mean business today.
So you're not gonna get your hands dirty. Is that what you're saying?
I got dressed the part.
Okay. What kind of shirt is that?
So C on the.
C.
I don't know what that chaps.
Chaps. Oh.
Yeah.
Chaps.
Go ahead and say something.
I didn't say nothing. I got nothing for that.
Just let you know, it's all business.
You waiting.
All right. Now,
go ahead.
For y'all that are unaware of what's going on, a bet has come about, and this is how it came about. So we was talking,
discussing,
and my co-host brought up, hey, we should probably think about cleaning it up a little bit. And I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking the same thing. So he has his reasons for wanting to clean things up. I have my reasons for wanting to clean things up. But I was like, let's take it a little bit further. So when we mean by cleaning things up, at first we was just talking about cuss words. Yes, all cuss words. Then I was like, hold up, let's take it a little bit further. Let's not only do no cuss words, let's not do any racial jokes, any homophobic jokes, or what could be considered homophobic jokes. Any what else we got? Gender.
Misogynistic.
Misogynistic is but the other one
innuendos too.
The innuendos.
Yeah,
transgender.
You're a professional innuendo person.
Professional.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna tempt me. You're not gonna bait me.
Sure enough, no problem.
Now.
He's got a nice shirt on, so he's ready.
Yeah, I have to dress.
Too bad we don't have film.
Now,
video. Plus, it was hot last time.
We have, and it was hot. I did think about that.
Smart man.
What's up with that AC?
What up?
I think the mic is picking it.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna cut it off.
Or you can wait till I finish this spill.
No.
And then put it on yourself because you look kind of.
I'm getting there.
Listen,
yeah,
okay.
It's like stagnant air.
All right, so let me speed it up before you pass us out.
Go ahead.
So we're allowed 2 strikes. The one strike is for us to get a gauge on what is allowed and what isn't allowed. And then on the second infraction, the person will treat the other person to, well, because he's caking, meaning he has buku moolah, he's going to treat me to Ruth Chris.
Oh, isn't that racial?
That's not.
Buku is not racial?
No, that means a lot.
I know, but in what? In what language?
In French.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, that's right, because Vietnamese were
Look at
conquered
you.
by the
He
French.
already trying to.
I'm just saying, because buku is in the Vietnam War, they said buku too.
Okay.
What was the other word you said?
French.
No, the other word. The other word before buku. Cakes. Cakes. Now,
No.
Come
no,
on.
No.
I've never heard
That's
that
a metaphor. Caking.
I never heard that before.
That's cultural. That's just another
Oh,
word.
are we going to go there
That's
too?
slang for money.
Is it?
Oh my goodness. See, this is why we need two strikes.
I can see that point because in the French,
Let them eat cake.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
I
all
mean,
right.
if you want to go there,
But this is why we have two strikes, because of this example that just exchanged.
we're too smart
just,
for each other.
And then what was he? Now you threw me off.
What? How did I throw you off?
Oh yeah, and then if he wins,
Oh, Ruth Chris, what?
if he wins, what was that? That might be number one then.
What the fart?
That might be number one.
All right, I'll take it.
Nah, because
No.
we haven't officially begun
I thought
the
when we pressed
transmission.
record, that was
I know,
it.
I know, but
Oh,
still, that was
I could have
too
said
much.
all those other things before this.
I could have.
When you said something about blowing,
If he wins,
I'm just saying.
if he wins,
Yeah, they're blowing out there.
you
going out there too?
If he wins, then he treats me to Fuddruckers.
Yeah. What? If he wins, he treats me to Fuddruckers? That's losing both times. If you lose,
You already said yes. That's what they say. If you toss a coin in the air,
right.
heads, I win. Tails, you lose. Doggone right.
If whoever loses pays, that's
All right, that's what it is.
That's what it is. Don't don't try to trick me.
I'm trying to get some $12 burgers, and I'm trying to get him to give me a $150 steak.
Shoot, I forgot the. Okay.
Oh, the thing for my mom to
All
make
right,
me a thing.
here's the thing.
Stop by there, I'll pick them up.
Where?
They're at your house, right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
After we stake out the deck.
Are we gonna do that today?
It's up to you. We'll see how we feel after,
Okay,
and
all right.
if your daughter calls
When we're
and all
gonna eat?
this. After this.
Okay.
Well,
Let's go. All right, here's the thing. Here's my.
What's the game
let's do a
plan?
Game plan. Okay. We go to my house.
Go to your house.
Okay. After this,
After this,
pick up the stuff.
pick up the stuff.
I got to pick up my daughter.
Okay.
I got to take her to the beach. She's going to the beach.
By the time we end up eating, it'll be like 6 in the evening.
No. We're this won't be a long session because we'll be done in a couple minutes because I know you're gonna.
Okay.
Exactly. Oh, we got to wait till 12 o'clock anyways because it's not
Okay.
open yet. Okay. No, I mean just saying. So wait till it's 12, then make the mistakes. Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. I got to take Elena, my daughter, to the beach, and it's kind of like going that way, and we can feed her too at the same time and go, or we can, whatever. But I'd like to do this: is you drive, follow my, and then when you come back to my house, you take the stuff.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that way.
All right.
And let's take a few minutes. Maybe we can stake something out just to look at it, because I got some flags here. We can
Okay.
pin them around. Okay.
All right. That'll work.
Okay.
All right. So now y'all in on the bet.
Who votes for me? Anybody?
Yeah. Place your bets. All two of y'all. Place your bets.
You got a 50-50 chance to win. That's pretty good odds.
Now,
Well, I think it's 64 my way because I think
you have no idea.
Okay, I'm.
Here's the thing. The thing. If I had a house, I'll bet my house on it. Okay.
Okay. All right. What is most important to you right now in your
My
life?
truck.
Okay, you bet your truck.
My whistling truck.
You bet.
I think I fixed it.
How'd you do that? Did you blow on it? That's
See? See what I'm saying?
Hey,
How many times are we
did we
gonna let
start?
this
Did
go?
we start?
I think I just opened up the
Breather?
engine air filter.
The hood?
No, after I opened up the hood, I opened up the engine air
Okay, I was
filter.
wondering how you did that through the hood.
Re-shifted it around,
Yeah.
closed it back up, and I pressed on the gas, and I didn't hear any.
Okay. One of the things that it only fits one way.
I know, and I think it fit tighter this last time. So that's how I know.
All right. When are we going to start?
Now.
Okay.
right.
Now we can.
We can start right now.
We're in Sears right now.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, so let's
start where we start off from.
I was gonna.
What?
I was gonna call you one of my adorable nicknames.
Oh, really?
That I have for you, but I couldn't do it
because it would be
racial.
Right. Well, which one are you talking about?
Racial, stereotypical, all that. No, I'm just gonna. You're not gonna bait me into that.
All right.
Which one you talking about?
All right. Here's the thing. Stop. That's not on.
No.
That's not on. Yeah.
No. I'll tell you after the transmission has been recorded.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, let's go. Part 2, the Bible's history.
Okay. Let's see where we left off.
Which, by the way,
yeah,
we're gonna have to do a part 3.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
To actually break down. Well, I'll say some of the real meaning behind some of the content that's in the Bible. But I'm not sure if that information should be released because, as we spoke about the last part 1,
mm-hmm.
if we can't get through the basics,
yeah.
how are we going to even approach to even conceive of these higher level principles? So,
well, one of the things we also have to discuss is where did it come from? Okay, that's what we're doing right now. Is we're discussing the history of the Bible as where it came from. Okay, now a lot of the stories, if we call them stories, came from other places,
and that is part of what I would like to get into in part 3 because.
Yeah.
The history that they're giving you is only the history that's been discovered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's a history well before that.
Well, also, sad to say, history has been covered up too. Because there are certain people or certain cliques or certain upper echelon people that kind of like want to keep it, status quo. So you don't rock the boat by coming up with something that kind of like throws everything out of whack. Like how do you explain this? That
right.
kind of thing.
So what they're doing is they're protecting tradition.
Right.
Because tradition is all they know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the truth of their tradition, of what they are going through the motions
mm-hmm.
of.
Yeah.
They're just dressing up.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this, that, and the other, because traditionally their ancestors did the same thing. So that's all they're doing. It's the complete 2 different things there. So, all right.
Okay. All right.
So we left off at
what minute?
12:53.
Okay, I'm at 12:21.
All right.
This is a 4-hour episode.
Okay, well, we'll just go until it's time to.
Is the Holy Bible really the inspired word of an almighty God?
You gonna prop it up or
I
can look at it?
Authored by a number of largely anonymous.
You gonna pause it?
Give me a minute. No, we're not gonna pause it. Well, I'll pause it. You can pause it.
It is necessary to examine the religious texts more closely and seek the truth that lies hidden behind the holy words.
That's kind of
right after this.
Born in a stable,
that's
surrounded by animals, angels, and 3 wise men. The story of the birth of Jesus is familiar to millions around the world. But As far as many religious and Bible scholars are concerned, there is quite a different story behind the written accounts of the Nativity.
A lot of the things that people assume are in the Bible are later Christian traditions that developed. So, for the example that there were 3 wise men at Jesus' birth.
According to the Gospel of Matthew, wise men come and visit Jesus perhaps months, even years after Jesus' birth. We're told that they bring gold, frankincense, and myrrh. 3 gifts, so why not 3 kings? We actually don't know how many kings there were.
Well, before this, I believe it was the god Apollo. His followers, they brought him to the temples. They brought
frankincense and myrrh. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Okay.
So Jesus wasn't the exclusive one and only. They did this just for him, and it started with him.
But
these are just.
It was like, where did they get the idea of bringing these gifts, and how were they as far as qualified as gifts? And it came from somebody else.
Right. And you'll find that a common motif that. There is nothing in Christianity that did not get its inspiration from paganism. Nothing. So.
Well, going on that, pagans.
99.9999%.
You got to understand that paganism was for the poor and the majority. The Christianity was for the wealthy and the people that could read and understand. So, in order to bring the flock in, as they say, you have to accept some of their paganisms in order to get them to accept what they believe in. So they take upon themselves as, like, for instance, they're talking about the 3 wise men and the flock. I mean, the animals and so forth. They also think about the tree. Now, bringing a Christmas tree. This is kind of like stepping ahead, but bringing a Christmas tree is a pagan ritual. Because of the evergreen, bringing the living inside the house is what they're trying to do, to experiment. Because when winter comes, it's basically death, because it's the end of the year. It's springtime's waiting, but it's a hint of what's to come because it's a live tree. That's basically what that symbol is.
All right. So 2 things on that. One, paganism was for the poor, but not. But only like de facto. Like it basically, because most of the people were poor.
That's yeah.
So it wasn't like it was created for them.
No. It was.
But paganism is more of a natural nature. It's based on nature and the forces and all these things. So because you had a certain group that were foreigners that don't really understand this, then they call it paganism. You know, and you only worship one God and all this.
It's one category that they put them in. And so also before people were converted, they were considered pagans. I mean, that's pretty much it. And those that were converted, they kind of like brought some of their, because they enjoyed doing those things, and they felt like it wasn't, a sin or they didn't feel wrong in doing it. Yeah.
It was, I guess, a natural.
Yeah. And it wasn't biblical either. From
the Bible, there was no Bible at that time.
There wasn't you weren't prevented from doing it, because now here's what happened. The church interpreted something and said, hey, this is going against, because they interpreted it and they had their own opinion of it, and whatever they say goes in that sense.
Now, the last thing with the Christianity, the clergy adopting and superimposing pagan rituals into their religion is, if Christianity is so powerful and so this and so that, it can't stand on its own. Does it need to manipulate in order to gain favor? Is this all-powerful Jesus not enough on his own? Like, do I have to assimilate in order to be accepted? Like,
well, if you push,
nobody else does that.
If push, I know this religion is it's You either do or you don't, and if you don't, then you're damned, basically. But the thing about that, if people would realize what Jesus was doing back then, okay, he was just opening their spirit up to what he was talking about or what he believed in. Love your neighbor, right? The slap on the face, turn your other cheek, okay? Forgiveness was the biggest thing.
Well, of course they're gonna push that.
Right.
No, seriously, of course they're gonna push that. Hey, slap on your face, do this, a whip to your back, and then forgive me because Jesus said so. But yeah, I can continue to.
Okay, well, you also got to understand, right, that the teaching is the physical body is just the vessel. The spirit that's inside you is the thing that they can't kill. Okay, that's the meaning. Okay, I mean, and you take it like Jesus took it. I mean, physically speaking, he took it, but spiritually speaking, hey, he was building himself up. He was saying, okay, I can do this. I can take this on.
All right.
You know?
We go back to this man they call Jesus.
Okay.
We'll go back to that.
Yeah. That's a whole new subject, and there's a story on that too.
Yeah, but there's something that I know for a fact that they're not going to mention in this program.
But
and then nobody's going to mention that we're going to, because, again, if we can't get past the basics, there's no way we're going to conceive these things.
Well, I know where you're going to, but...
You don't know where I'm going?
Well, I do too, because
you have an idea.
We talked about it before, okay? And we're in discussion still. But it would rock the boat so much that people won't take it as truth. Okay, won't take it as fact.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know what you're thinking that I'm talking about, and I'm talking that too.
Okay.
Then
there's something else. Okay.
There's something else.
I got you.
And there's something else, but to be able to wrap our minds around. Mm-hmm. It's not but I know exactly what you're talking about, and that would be one that we got to come correct, because
well, now is it fact, or is it hypothesis, or is it theory, or what is it?
Well, when I first came across it, I'm like, this fits way too perfect.
Okay,
so there's got to be something that I'm missing that's wrong.
Okay.
But the more I've thought about it, I'm like, no. Because then that would mean that when they name these different, that they would have to have known this. It's just, I'm trying to make it not fit, because it's like, it's so common sense.
The word devil's advocate is kind of like, that's what you're trying,
exactly.
You're trying to prove or disprove what you read, and there's kind of like you're running into roadblocks. It's not working. So if all right, here's this thing. If you knocked out everything that's possible, right, or anything that's improbable, whatever's possible is pretty much the answer.
And because I brought this up to you a while back.
Okay.
And I've been simmering on it ever since.
Well, you didn't bring it up earlier, later. I mean, were you sitting on it?
I've been simmering on it.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm always battling myself, like a lawyer in court. Mm-hmm. And until I get to that point where I can't no longer defeat me, then I know that that's the point.
Yeah, okay. Was that one of your click moments?
Nah, the click moment is when I first came across it.
Okay.
Then the rest of it is like, this is just, how is this not like...
One of the reasons why we do this, okay, is because we were raised on this, okay? Our belief system was based on this when we were kids, or when we were brought up in the church. I read the Bible. I took it as holy gospel. I mean, because you were taught that as a kid, and as a young adult, you were taught that. And then you basically met people that were in the same belief system. So you increased your knowledge through that. But then after certain things that occur in your life, you got to wonder, there's something wrong with this system. because the poor are getting poorer, and even though the Bible says you're going to have poor, okay, that's kind of like common sense. You're going to, but the people that are spewing the scripture are getting wealthier, and to me, they're abusing the privilege, because a pastor or whoever who has a mega church as we speak, and I'm putting these people on call right now, they have no right to live in a 18-room mansion, have 10 cars, when most of the people in their audience or in their congregation are barely paying their light bill, but they're pushing them to tithe more. And tithing is something else other than Christianity.
You know what, somebody,
we got to deal with that too.
Somebody told me one time, and this was from, he was a Muslim.
Okay.
Or is a Muslim. And he was like that.
Mm-hmm.
He had fancy cars
Mm-hmm.
and expensive suits. Mm-hmm. And what he told me was, the Quran says that we should live in abundance. Mm. That's how he justified the way he lived. And he also had provocative women on his screensaver. Mm-hmm. We should live in abundance. Yeah. That was the way he
interpreted what he
but if they're living in these high class estates where everybody else is just suffering, it just means that they don't understand what they're preaching. That's all it means. Because if you truly, when you know something, you might do it. But if you understand, you will do it.
I totally
and they're
agree.
not doing it.
But the cost of them not doing it is tremendous, because people are suffering for their enjoyment. Or for
when you're taught that the meek will inherit the earth, what else? Forgiveness.
Well, when you hear that, you says, okay, here's your dirt, meek. Go ahead, because it's earth.
And I'm supposed to take it.
Right.
You know why I'm supposed to take it? Because Jesus took it. That's the
kicker. That's the kicker. Yeah.
They're playing on emotion.
But it's the pick and choose kind of scriptures that they take. Prosperity preaching. I mean, they're picking out these certain scriptures.
Prosperity from inside. That's
right,
what you gotta have.
Like, but not on the outside. But guess what? If you want to give it to me, I'll take it, because that's your blessing to me. And you know how I'm going to bless you? By asking you for more stuff, so you keep blessing yourself for giving it to me. That's how it works.
Because I'm the vicar and I'm the go-between God and you, and that's the only way you're going to get through.
That's Catholic. That's Catholicism. It's like I'm the middleman.
But even if it's not Catholicism, all the other denominations, when you have the pastor lay hands on you, like it's because God is working through the pastor and He's giving them that special energy, and then when He touches you just feel it, like you're psyching yourself out.
Hey, it's a show. Okay, I'm sorry to say it's a show, and people who if they push come to shove, if they believe in that kind of thing, hey, more power to you. But you're getting duped. I'm sorry. You got to be realistic in this world. I understand what this world's all about, but also you're supposed to look out for yourself too. They say that you're special too. Now, well, that's as far as I can go right now. Okay, I got to reset it because we talk too much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's all
We're never gonna get done.
I know. No, this will be part 2A.
By the time we get done, it'll be part 89.
We're only 13 minutes into this thing.
One of the misconceptions is that when you see a Christmas creche, all of the different people and things who are there at a Christmas creche, the lambs, the sheep, the stable, and the kings, and the angels, and Mary and Joseph, and the baby Jesus, they were all there in some place in the Bible. There are angels and a stable and animals and shepherds in Luke. But in Matthew, Jesus seems to be born in a regular house, and the wise men come to visit him there.
The childhood nativity stories that we find in Matthew and Luke are full fictions. But here's the important thing to understand. For the ancient writers of the time, for the gospel writers, it was perfectly acceptable to write stories about gods and goddesses whose underlying facts were universally and widely seen as untrue, but whose underlying truths were seen as eternally true.
Again, this is when we talk about
If such
we get caught up in the superficial stories and forget about all what's underneath.
Yeah.
We get caught up in the symbolism. I mean, the symbol, and not in the symbolism.
Yeah.
That's what we get messed up in.
I think that's perfectly said by him and you.
Him. You know,
You've made it easier for these people to understand. Well, I'm just saying both of them.
details have been confused by mixing the accounts,
Mike.
is it also possible, as some scholars believe, that various mistranslations over the centuries have misreported other key facts about the birth of Jesus?
Christians claim that Jesus was born of a virgin, and this claim comes from a prophetic text, the book of Isaiah, chapter 7. And the word that's used in the Hebrew text to talk about this young woman is alma, which basically means a woman who is of marriageable age.
But when you translate the Hebrew into Greek, it becomes virgin. And that's when it can become, for Matthew and Luke, a sort of bolt of lightning saying, oh, it was a miracle. His mother was a virgin.
All right.
So this is why it's important that we're looking at this show, because if it's coming from my mouth, I'm just a regular person that you see every day. Oh,
that's what we say about you.
He's a car janitor, right? Now you hear the same thing from a more credible source.
Right.
Now it just adds more weight. Now, now let's see what they got to say. You know, which is cool. It's just creating momentum. And it's like that for everything and everybody. You hear one thing, then you hear it again later, and then you hear it again, well, maybe there's something to it.
But like they're saying, they're misinterpreting the scripture because it's being translated in a different language. Now, and those words mean two different things. Young woman or woman of age in Jewish tradition. But in Greek, it says virgin. Virgin means mystical, meaning, hey, how did this happen? When you get the idea of how did Jesus get, created? And was it God's touch, or was it,
Immaculate Conception?
That's how exactly. That's how they talk about it.
And that's just that one word.
I know. And
talked about hell.
But what is the title of Mary? Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary.
Yeah, I mean that's a title. And when you hear that word, what do you think? Clean, untouchable.
Pure,
exactly. But it's not the actual meaning.
We went through translations. Just that one word.
That's that one word. I mean, but that's where the fault comes into, where people don't compare the different translations. Now, if you come with the original Aramaic, or Hebrew, and then you translate it to another language, you better do the crossover very carefully, because the words that we use are totally different from what they're actually saying.
And here's the thing, though. You can be as careful as you want to.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, there is no direct translation.
No.
You're always getting the watered down version
of
the pure essence of what they're trying to, know.
Yeah.
So it's cool that we can go through all the work, but even then, we fall short of God's grace.
I also imagine, all right, these guys are writing all this information. What if they had a bad day?
That's what
I mean, that's getting kind of specific.
It's not getting specific.
It's being human. It's like the dude, say for instance, he lost a bet and he's like, and he's like, okay, let's figure out this word here.
That was my point when they said that the writers of the Gospels, the epistles, they were inspired
by the word
when they wrote. Inspired by the Word of God, the Holy Spirit when they wrote. And I'm like, okay, so only when they wrote, because before and after, when they were committing sins, because we're all sinners, they were inspired when they were committing sins.
What caused this inspiration?
But it's only when they said, okay, now I'm about to write. Now I'm inspired. Now I'm pure. Now I can get it direct from God. And then as soon as they put the what's that called?
The period at the end of the sentence.
No, the
pen.
The pen, but what they used back then? The feathers,
well, they used
that word, man.
Quill.
The quill.
Okay.
As soon as they lay down the quill, then they go back to being sinners.
What is it, like a trance? They're in a trance.
Trance. I'll let that one slide.
Trance. Yeah. I mean, that could be. I mean, yeah.
So we got to be realistic. You said they could have been having a bad day. It's hot too. They didn't have AC back then.
Back then, hey,
so they're
no
losing.
Cable.
Check this out. You talking about taking it too far?
Yeah.
It's hot. Right.
Yeah.
They're in the Middle East. It's hot. Right. They're losing all types of electrolytes: sodium, magnesium, potassium.
Now you're getting
all
into
these
the science of it.
When you lose electrolytes and you're dehydrated. Right. You get a form of dementia called delirium. Right. So now they're writing stuff and I'm tired. Let me just write. Well, it's like that.
Also, you got to realize that these were hunted people too, because these people were being chased after by the Romans by saying you can't preach this, and the Jews, they were saying this is going against what we believe in, so we're gonna put you down too.
It's
yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And all right.
So that's where you get a different translation.
The English reader is getting a translation of a text that's from a different language, which meant something slightly different in the other language. The Bible may be divinely inspired, but there are human fingerprints all over it.
Combined with the beginnings of what starts to become quite a misogynistic religious culture, you begin to get the idea that Jesus must have been born of a virgin. But
if you go back further, it's the Black Madonna.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Which again, I would love to go into.
That has to be another chapter. That's got to be another.
Yeah, because there are things that you're not gonna know. It's like she just said, a misogynistic religion. Mm-hmm. So they have removed the feminine aspect of this religion.
Yeah.
Which now it what's it called? You've perverted the sanctity of this holy message.
Right.
This belief, this philosophy, because you just excised, right? Cut out a whole part of it, and saying now we're the ones.
Well, it's to make them fit.
Patriarchal.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as that word is used nowadays, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Essentially, a mistranslation.
A mistranslation? Is it possible that the stories of Jesus, like many other Bible stories, have been told and retold, translated and retranslated so many times that their historical accuracy has become muddled, lost to time?
Problem is that it's all a matter of translation. For example, in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus says that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Therefore, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Why would that make Jesus the Lord of the Sabbath?
Remember that Jesus speaks Aramaic, right? So the New Testament is written in Greek with a few Aramaic words thrown in there, but Jesus speaks Aramaic. And in Aramaic, Baranosh, right, Son of Man, is just a way of saying a dude. The secret about the word Son of Man is that in Aramaic, it's just the way that you say a person.
If you translate this passage back into Aramaic, the word for Son of Man and the word for man is the same word, Barnosh. In other words, humans have priority over the Sabbath. When this got translated into Greek, that meaning got changed so that now all of a sudden Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath.
However, we cannot forget that the Son of Man is the Son. Is the Son. S-U-N.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a religion that's based off of paganism.
Right.
Is the Son of Man who sacrificed its light, its life, in order so that you may live. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, if you want to go a little bit further, if you talk about Egyptian gods, It's pretty much what it's all was taken from. And who were the Jews supposedly being slaves to? And their exposure to that was kind of like,
Well, I see. That's I didn't want.
I know you didn't want to go there, but that's what I.
Because
yeah,
they didn't
you had
take
to,
it that far.
exactly. But we'll take it further later on because that's kind of important to us.
Even the name Jesus, like if you, anyways.
You got time. We're not finished.
The Bible is always about interpretation. The biblical text is written either in Hebrew or in Aramaic or in Greek, but every translation is an interpretation.
According to many biblical scholars, imprecise translations are only partly to blame. They also point to the fact that the New Testament was written not on scrolls, but on individual pages known as a codex.
Throughout the history of Christianity, what we see is that Christians love new technology. That they're first to embrace the codex, a book with pages. And this is because the way that Christians read the Bible is that they have to be able to compare passages. And the best way to do that is put your finger in one part of the book and flip back to another. They're the first people to hyperlink.
One of the reasons I think that the Christians preferred the Codex was because they had a physical artifact that marked out their distinction from people who used another book form for their holy text. Christians used the Codex, Jews used the scrolls.
All four Gospels of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, recount how Jesus was crucified and his body buried in a tomb. They also describe his appearance to the women mourning at his grave 3 days after his death.
The original Gospel of Mark ends with chapter 16, verse 8, in which the women go to wash Jesus' body, and when they get to the tomb, they see that the tomb has been rolled back, it's empty. And the Gospel actually ends with verse 8, in which Mark writes, "The women went away from there and said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid."
It says, the women ran away, said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. And then it just stops.
But why would this story come to such an abrupt end? Some scholars believe it might simply be that the original ending was written on a page that was deleted or destroyed.
A very old theory was that Mark's gospel was in a codex and the back page fell off.
It was many, many years later that a later redactor, very likely unsatisfied by that ending in the Gospel of Mark, added 8 more verses to the Gospel of Mark in which you have this resurrection appearance.
So the earliest scribes of Mark added fresh endings on. One of them became very popular, the ending that you see in most Bibles today. You might say that the story of the resurrection actually emerges as an interesting literary story, partly because people are so dissatisfied with Mark's story.
Is it possible that the account of Jesus' divine resurrection, one of the most important tenets of Christianity, was the consequence of a missing page? Many scholars now believe that as Christianity became more popular and more powerful, it became common practice to edit the New Testament in ways that would support evolving religious beliefs. But deliberately altering the Bible could also have deadly consequences, particularly if the changes ran afoul of traditional thought or political agendas.
Now, they bring it. That's an interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
I would never bring that up as a point to make because that is a lot of you're speculating. That could have happened with any other book. Like That's to me that was a weak argument.
Well, okay.
Now the fact that the resurrection has a deeper meaning plays into that, because that's not the only time we've ever heard of that, of the resurrection. So I don't, that one I think I'm surprised they put that on there.
Well, here's my thinking. Okay, all right. You have the original codex, meaning that's where it stopped. Okay. You got another person who's reading it and says, this thing, needs work, because it is a story. Okay. Now he's heard other stories about what happened at the tomb, and he's heard other stories of witnesses of Jesus after he was buried, or so he's got that influence of that. So he has to add more to it in order to make the story fit to what others are believing. You know what I'm saying?
I can definitely see that.
Because you can see how Luke, translated it, and how the other three gospels translate it.
Right. Well, they call them the synoptic gospels.
Yeah, exactly.
Because three of them are saying the same thing.
Right.
So they put them together.
So you figure, but
the
you
other
figure
one isn't.
Mark isn't doing it. Okay. Well, we need to, I think it needs this, in his own, the person who wrote that, which has not been identified, or
or persons,
or it could have been a team of writers, who knows, but it's the possibility is there. Okay, but I mean that's kind of like eye-opening to me.
Is it?
Yeah, it is, because had you seen the original,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Said, hey,
well, the original codex, I think it was 350 BC. I forgot what it was called. The Codex something is what they called it. AD, yeah. See, I did it again.
That's all right. We forget.
Yeah, the Codex something, and at 350, that was like the original Bible.
Right. It was closer to when it happened, and
350 AD.
That's still back then, it was word of mouth.
Homeboy died in 33, or they said it died in 33.
Hey, Mark was the closest as far as time-wise. His gospel was in 70 AD.
All right, well, let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
You ever played the game of telephone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you.
I
know. Hey, I know. It's the same thing
you got 8 people in the span of 30 seconds. Can't get one word or 2 words right. You're trying to tell me that
350 years.
That a gazillion people in 350 years, or let's just say 2,000 years by now, that this game of telephone just kept the message pure because the Holy Spirit guided it so? Come on now.
Okay. I get your point, but I'm just
Come on now.
Okay.
Like, realistically, come on now.
Okay, if you want to go realism, I can understand your point.
Nah, I don't even want to.
It's like, I can understand your point. But also, you got to be spiritual too. I'm sorry.
But spiritual exists in matter, like, especially at this plane.
Okay.
So they have to work hand in hand. You can't just all of a sudden just exclude the matter and say, okay, well now spirit is just the one doing everything. No.
Hey.
And see, I can't say. I wish I can go deeper, but I just can't, because it's like we can't get through the basics. Oh, I would like to take this.
Well, here's the thing: you have to do an epilogue? No, precursor? No,
it ain't a prequel. It ain't
prequel.
A sequel.
Yeah, it's got to be a prequel, because this is what's happening now. You're going to the basics of where this actually originated from, and you haven't done that yet.
The origin story, but I can't do that.
Why not?
I just can't do that. Not now.
Not now, but I mean, you got to come up with something, because that's on you.
That's not on me, because here's the thing. We talked about this.
I know we did.
When you give somebody something that they're not ready for, it not only does that person damage, but then it does everybody else around them damage.
Okay.
And then you're preventing their growth, because they're gonna already take it. They don't understand the basics. They're gonna take this advanced stuff. They're gonna twist it, and then they're gonna ruin it for somebody else. And then when they come across it, I heard that before. It's
okay.
You're doing the message an injustice.
Here's the thing. Okay, you're taking away choice. Okay,
I'm not taking away choice.
Yes, you're taking away choice. you're basically segregating these people because of
the reason you say that.
Because of what you think.
No, but the reason you say that is because we don't know we can't quantify the impact of giving somebody something they're not ready for, and when it comes to a message or a word or a knowledge. But if I to give a little kid a gun when they're not ready for it, they're gonna kill somebody. Why? Because that's power that they don't have the responsibility or the understanding of how to control, the self-control. They just don't have it. You have to wait till they come of age, and then
I can understand what you gotta start them out with milk first, and then you build them up to because that's biblical too. The thing about it is, okay, you're repressing something that has to be said. Okay, it has to be said. I'm saying that what we're doing right now, okay, some people who may hear this will say, I can't take this because their interpretations are wrong. It's going against everything I thought. What do I do about it? And then how are we not hurting those people? Because we're doing the same thing right now.
I understand with a certain level. I understand that at the end of the day, that becomes a judgment call. That's a discernment. Okay. Well, now I know where. Look, I'm gonna tell you this one thing about the one experience.
Okay.
I didn't have it directly. Somebody told me.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
That they was with somebody, and they was driving, and they told the person Jesus isn't real, right?
Okay.
Where they got that from?
Out of thin air, right? He just said
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I might have had a little. Anyway,
Influence.
they told them that Jesus wasn't real.
Right.
This guy stopped the car on the side of the road, got out, and was having just a breakdown.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have. It's like a parent. A parent, you have to look at your child and you have to say, you know what? I feel that you're not ready for this truth. Okay. So I cannot take this now because it's going to hurt you.
Okay, here's the thing. Get this. Okay.
And people have to earn. They have to earn this. You can't give them this stuff.
You have to graduate to it.
When things are given to you, like you're like, oh, it's nothing.
Well, here's my proposal. Okay. Basically, you've given these people a temptation to say, what's he talking about? What does he mean? I think I want to hear this, okay? Because that's what you're doing, okay? Here's the thing. We discussed it, okay? If we decide, hey, we can put it on, we put it on. If not, we say, hey, this is too deep. We need to back it off a little bit and maybe develop another way of getting them, ease it into them instead of just dumping right on them. Say, hey, this is what's happening.
And this is why I might drop a breadcrumb here and there, like when I talk about the Son,
right?
Because at the end of the day, when you work for something, you will appreciate that a whole lot more. If you give a little kid a bag of diamonds.
That little kid's having a problem. He's got a gun next, and he's got a bag of diamonds. Now he's in jail with the killing, and then he gets a bag of. Now how's that work out?
You give him a bag of diamonds, a bag of gold or jewels,
right?
And they're just playing G.I. Joes and Barbies with it.
Or they lose it, or they eat it,
and they're losing it.
Yeah.
And because they don't understand what it is. If that little kid grows up or whatever and has to work 80 hours a week or whatever to get that, they're going to treasure it. They're going to look at it more deeply. They're going to understand it. That's the same thing with knowledge.
I get that.
People have to work for this. You give it to them like that, they're going to be like,
I understand that. But also, there are some people out there that have been asking this question over and over and over again, okay? And they can't find the answer. Now, if for instance,
leave a comment.
You have the answer. Okay, there you go.
Leave it in the thing. If you want to know, leave it. And just.
Well, I'm going to put a comment in there because I want to know.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Follow my lead. Bring a comment to this saying, "Hey, we'd like to hear what Car Wash Guy wants to tell us."
And it's not. Believe me, I am not putting myself on anything that I know that I know this secret knowledge. No. But what I do know is what I do know. And I know that there's stuff that's out there that's beyond my thing, and I'm not ready for it because I haven't come across it yet.
I got you.
I mean, everybody's at a different level, and I know that
you're still at that stage too. That hey, you got the little bit of basics, but there's more to it than you got to research it more.
There's not the stuff. No, there's stuff that
you totally researched it all.
No. There's stuff that you research. There's stuff that you experience.
Right.
There's stuff that you know.
Okay.
I would if I say I don't know something, I'll be saying, look, don't quote me on this.
Oh yeah. I got you. Yeah.
Do your own thing. No,
right.
But there's certain things that this is set in stone. This not.
I got that. Where some things happen and there's no other explanation, and you experienced it, and you're not denying the fact that you did.
Nah, that's no. It's about as real as you and I here.
Right?
Talking,
I get that.
But
there's a responsibility you're taking by not because of that.
I know that.
Hey, I thoroughly support that, because you're right. It's curiosity killed the cat. They think, and some people will, I've heard some stuff that it's like you just have to think twice, and if you say it to yourself, you just can't.
I mean, on a basic level, imagine we have to. As soon as you say the word angel,
oh yeah,
people start. Yeah. You have to take that into account, because that means whatever you say after that, it's done.
It's done. Yeah, it takes away the. Yeah,
it's done. And now when they go and relay that to somebody else, it's done.
Right.
And that's how
you're basically lighting a match to the fire.
That's how misinformation and disinformation and fake news and all this stuff spread, and you're doing the message and injustice, and that's stuff that I gotta live with. That's gonna come back on me.
Well, yeah, because you're responsible for everything that comes out of your mouth, no matter what you say. Okay, and it's in the ether. That's pretty much where it's at, and then or it's on the internet or wherever you want to put it, but it's out there.
Ethernet.
That's a good one. I would definitely copyright that.
No, that's the actual term.
Really? And I thought you came up with that. Brilliant, man.
No, but it was like
combination of the two.
I mean,
it makes sense. That's what it is, right? You can't see the internet, can you? And you can't see the ether, but I guess combined together, they kind of.
Matter of fact, I think on the back of your cable box, it might be a plug for Ethernet.
No kidding.
Look at it. Or your modem, one of them.
Ethernet, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
Is that like another dimension too when you plug it in?
I think it's the step before Wi-Fi, I think.
Do you get another channel? Or is it just basic? What's it go to?
Let me think.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going, because Fud Director is waiting on you.
Y'all see.
Hey, we're actually doing really good. Mike, you should have been here, bruh, because I think you could have intimidated him enough to spill the beans.
Get out of here.
Hey, I'm just saying, 2 against 1, it works for me. I need all the help I can get. Go ahead.
Oxford, England, 1382. Philosopher and biblical scholar John Wycliffe is under suspicion for his radical ideas to reform the Catholic Church, including his own translation of the New Testament. After his death 2 years later, the Catholic Church officially declares his version of the Bible to be heresy.
Wycliffe died in his bed, safe and sound. So the church judges Wycliffe a heretic after his death. He has a posthumous judgment made against him for heresy. The state digs him up and puts what's left of his body in the flames. And that's a message to his followers.
That's rough.
That heresy must be expunged, dead or alive.
He killed him twice.
The church wanted to keep control over the message of the Bible. And so there was an official translation that was the only one that was to be used, and the priests were the ones that were to do the interpretation and so forth.
So did the Holy Spirit inspire them to do that?
I think
to dig them up and put them on a fire.
No, I think it was competition. That's what it's all about.
I'm just saying because they were men of God. They were from the church.
Okay. If you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, okay.
I'm just saying
too. Okay.
You think just because they wear robes that they're holier thou 24/7?
They're not. They're men. See, that's one thing you got to understand.
I know that.
Well, that's what they are. And when somebody steps on your territory, what do? Whether it be religious or whether it be any other way.
Somebody's messing with your money.
Exactly. And you touch it, guess what? You get your hands cut off. Well, you get dug up and burned again. I mean, I bet it hurt too. Well, the smell was bad too.
But see, here's
That's
another,
2 years after he was gone. Too.
Here's another.
I wonder what they did with the ashes.
Here's another breadcrumb.
They smoked his ashes.
Here's another breadcrumb.
Okay. Pause. You want to pause? Or we can just go with it. Let's go.
What was the nature of Wycliffe's heresy? What had he done that caused his very soul to be condemned for all eternity?
What I wanted to say, what they didn't realize, here's another breadcrumb.
Okay.
That when they burned his body, they actually did him a favor.
Okay.
But that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
His crime was simply that he had translated the Bible from the Vulgate, or the traditional Latin, into English. A crime punishable by death.
Prior to the translation of the Bible into German, etc., what you have is the Bible in Latin, or the Bible in Greek, or the Bible in Hebrew.
Right.
And the only people who had access to that were generally people who were priests or officiants in the church.
The Roman Catholic Church wanted the Latin Bible to be the Bible, and the idea of putting the Bible into a vernacular language so an average person could read it was strictly forbidden.
Even as late as the 16th century, possession of an unlicensed Bible carried a death sentence. In 1529, English scholar and linguist William Tyndale was, like Wycliffe, accused of heresy for his translation of the New Testament.
The feeling amongst many of the Protestant reformers, including Tyndale, is that the Bible should be read by every person. It should be in the hands of everyone. And so Tyndale himself set out to make his own translation of the Bible from the original Hebrew and Greek scriptures into an English translation, and even took advantage of the printing press to disseminate his Bible.
But Tyndale's translation was not the only threat facing the Roman Catholic Church. A few years earlier, the English King Henry VIII had become embroiled in a bitter battle with Pope Clement VII over his request for an annulment of his childless marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Henry's desire to take a new young wife would eventually lead to a break with Rome and the creation of the Church of England.
We need to remember that the Protestant Reformation wasn't just a religious battle, it was also a political battle. The Vatican had a lot of power. And as different countries, different kings came to power, they needed the blessing of the Pope at the Vatican to do certain things, like, for instance, get divorced. And when the Pope said no, there were some, like Henry VIII, who said, you know what, I'm going to form my own church, and we're going to have our own clergy and our own hierarchy, and we're going to use the Bible as the foundation of it, and we're going to do our own thing.
The Pope essentially has investments in England. He is interested in the real estate of England. The church owns land. The church is making money off land in England. If Henry splits from the Roman Church, then the revenues from England aren't going to make it back to Rome. And this is a danger for the Pope.
Henry VIII is the person who is associated with the first production of a Bible in English, but he took some persuading. Henry makes a proclamation in 1530 that says, in essence, you can translate the Bible when I tell you to, and not before.
It's good to be the king.
One of those who disobeyed the much-married monarch's orders was William Tyndale. In 1536, he was tried for heresy, found guilty, and was sentenced to be burned to death at the stake.
William Tyndale died because he made it possible for people to read the Bible in English. And he was still doing translation work in the prison before he was taken for execution. The way that he was killed as a form of mercy, he was strangled before the flames reached him. And this was probably because of some respect that was accorded to him as a great scholar. To translate the Bible into English was a life or death proposition. People died for this cause.
Ironically, within 3 years of Tyndale's death, Henry VIII, now the head of the Church of England, authorized his own English translation of the Bible to be used throughout the new church.
Eventually, Henry VIII decides that it's not so bad having the Bible, especially if he can control it.
In 1539, Henry brings out, with his picture on the title page, a Bible that has been commissioned by him, and it's called the Great Bible, or the King's Bible. It shows the king in what we think of as the prime real estate place of a title page, sort of top and center. And he is holding out copies of the translated Bible to his statesman on one side and his churchmen on the other. It is definitely a portrait of power. And after him, all monarchs want their own Bible.
Half a century later, in 1604, King James I of England assembled a group of 47 scholars to begin work on yet another English language translation.
This is the one I was telling Mike about.
Yeah.
Of the Bible, the King James Version. But it too was not without its share of controversy.
As a very famous example of the problem that we have with the King James translation, probably the most familiar story to people from the Gospels is the story of Jesus and the woman taken in adultery, John chapter 7 and 8.
In the Gospel of John, there's this really charming story of the scribes and the Pharisees bringing to Jesus this woman that they caught in the act of committing adultery. And they're going to stone her, which is a punishment for adultery. And Jesus says, let the person who's without sin cast the first stone.
This is a beautiful story about Jesus. It's in every movie ever made about Jesus from Hollywood, and it wasn't originally in the New Testament. It was added to the New Testament by later scribes. It's not in our earliest manuscripts of the New Testament, but the King James translators didn't have access to these early manuscripts. They translated the story, put it into John chapter 7 and 8, even though originally it wasn't there.
Again, so this goes back to Timothy, 2 Timothy. There's a difference between scripture and epistles and the New Testament. When they wrote that, the Bible, the New Testament, was not in creation. It was not in circulation. There was no, they were just writing letters saying scripture is inspired by the word of God, which means it's everything from the Old Testament and before.
You can't exclude it.
So now we see that writing a new Bible, they're just adding stuff
that wasn't even in there. That wasn't even in the original.
That's what I said. To me, that was like a common sense, should be smoking gun, but I guess it wasn't.
Nope.
It was a traditional story that people told about Jesus, but it wasn't in the Gospel of John. It probably never happened at all.
Just as many in the early church feared and predicted, translating the Bible into vernacular English, French, and other languages opened the door to many more translations revisions, and interpretations. And with those interpretations came new religions and the promise of a new world in which to practice them. As the King James Bible spread the word of God and the power of the Church of England, it also changed the English language.
Most people don't realize that they quote the Bible every day. There is so much of it has slipped into everyday language that we wouldn't even recognize it as biblical. Words like, at my wit's end, or bite the dust, by the skin of your teeth, put your house in order. These all derive from the King James Bible.
The King James Bible also enabled English-speaking Christians to develop their own interpretations and break away into their own sects.
It opens the floodgates for all these different groups to say, well, we don't agree with what you guys say, so we're going to go do this, and we're going to do this, and this is how you get all of the Christian denominations today.
Many of these independent worshipers, like Puritans and Quakers, sought to find a home for their religious beliefs in America.
King James would have never thought the very people who left his country to get away from him would make his Bible the centerpiece of their worship. That's the great irony of American history.
In America, books are very expensive. If a family is going to own a book, they are going to own a Bible, and it's going to be a King James Bible.
But just as King Henry and King James insisted on their own translations of the Bible, there were now a growing number of others who were intent on publishing their own interpretations. Even Thomas Jefferson, while in office as the third president of the United States, secretly decided to edit his own American version of the Bible.
Thomas Jefferson went through the Bible, the New Testament, and cut out in the Gospels all the stuff that he thought was right and that was true and that Jesus really said, and he made his own New Testament.
Thomas Jefferson famously took issue with anything in the Gospels that made Jesus sound like a miracle worker. He liked his Jesus to be a philosopher. He called it a morsel of the gospel.
Although to some, Thomas Jefferson's version of the Bible may have been an example of biblical sacrilege, it was only intended for his own personal use. But there were others, like New Englander Joseph Smith, who not only altered the Bible, they even rewrote it. In 1830, Smith published the Book of Mormon, a sacred text that included passages from both the Old and New Testaments. It asserted that during the time of his resurrection, Jesus made an appearance in the New World. What followed was a...
Yeah, we gotta stop there, because that's
Anyways,
yeah,
we'll continue that.
Yeah, that's another topic.
We're just gonna have to keep going part 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, but we get a better understanding that what we have today was not the original. Okay, it's been touched so many times. It's been interpreted so many times. It's been added to. It's been taken away from, and it's been interpreted. Now, the thing about the Bible itself is it's your word too. Okay, you have to take it upon yourself to read and interpret yourself. Okay, because as they say, you go in one at a time. You don't go in as a group. I mean, whole church who understands the Bible don't understand the Bible because it's a personal thing, and that's what religion should be about. A personal belief system that keeps you on the straight and narrow.
All right. So what's going on is, in order to have the cleanest, purest interpretation of this divine inspiration, you have to first do the work on yourself.
Right.
Because the common thread with all these kings and different denominations and people starting is that they still have an ego.
Okay.
With that ego comes pride.
Right.
It comes an agenda. Yeah. So now what you're doing is you're taking the message and you're tailoring it to your insecurities, to your ego, because to your agenda, whatever you want. Well, I want a divorce. Right now the message says you can't do this. So because I want a divorce, the ego wants that, I'm going to go ahead and make my own church.
Sure.
I don't think that Jesus did miracles, so I'm going to make my own Bible. Right. I don't think that this, or I want people to believe this because I want to be seen as some great prophet, so that I'm going to do some revision and things like that. Like, it's people's agenda that's...
Well, if you go by what's happened in the past with cults, okay, each person that's controlled the church, like the Moonies, or Jim Jones, or Koresh in Waco, those people had their own agenda. They took whatever they wanted as an interpretation for themselves, and that's their basis of how things are to be. And they exclude any of the actual, well, you shouldn't do that because,
Because it doesn't, you hear it all the time. You hear a person going from one church to another church to another. Why? Because this church doesn't allow them to smoke cigarettes. Or this one doesn't allow them to have 2 different partners. Or this one doesn't allow them to wear long hair. Or this one doesn't allow them to wear jeans. So based on what they want, they're going to find a church that fits their thing. Instead of saying, what is the truth? Let me dig down. And why are these people saying that I can't smoke? Why are they saying that women can't wear jeans? Why are they saying that men can't have long hair? There has to be something to this. Let me not just fit whatever makes me feel better, which is an ego thing. Once you take care of the ego, then it doesn't matter what comes at you, you'll be able to see the God in that. But you're not going to see the God in that when there's an ego, because it's blocking everything. It's an obstruction.
Well, what Paul used to call it was the old man. You had to bring him down. It's the old self that you had before you were, say, saved, or before you understood what was your religion or belief. And you partied on Saturday, you partied on Sunday, you just did your own thing. Well, you can't do that now because the old man is not in control. You're in control. Okay, that old man, or the ego, as Paul says. And one of the things is, Paul mentioned that he had a thorn in his side. Okay, and God's been good to Paul, but that's one thing he didn't help him with. There's an interpretation. What was that thorn? What could it have been? Okay. One of the things that God will do to you, He will humble you, okay? And being humbled is one of the hardest things for an ego to take. And if you don't become humble, you're on a path to destruction, because being humble is knowing who you really are. And that's pretty much what it was. He had to maintain his humbleness, because a lot of Paul's writing could have gone way out of control, because he felt the power. He knew what he was talking about, but he could have taken it on because I said this, because but he did not. He kept it under control by saying, God spoke to me. This is God's word that I'm passing on. It's not mine. And I think that's where we have a problem, where it becomes what I say, not what he says, or what your spirit says, or your ego says. So
yes,
that's pretty much what I gotta say.
No, I mean it's on point. It's
I think we both won, because I think we did pretty good.
I think nobody slipped up.
Nobody, because to me, the importance of this topic.
Nah, that ain't nothing to do with
That's for me.
For you.
For me.
For you, yeah.
Okay, for me. Now, I'm just saying.
For you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But
But for me, I'm just letting you know.
You just want to be hungry. You want to be fed.
No, I'm just letting you know that whenever I do let go of any of these profane words, it's strategic.
Okay.
It's not because of lost self-control, for lack of a better word.
I gotcha.
No, there's a reason why I say these things how I say it. Now, you see how dull this program was?
Oh, it was.
And that's
totally,
fine. Because hopefully the material that we was looking at compensated for the dullness, the lack of entertainment. But
it still goes in league what we talk about. It brings out subject matter that we can discuss, not being in a joking manner like we normally do, or not criticizing each other's skin color or feet or whatever you want to go, that's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, and this is how it's going to be from now on.
No.
Yes,
no.
It's going to be super clean.
No.
The fact that y'all thought that I couldn't.
Fuck that. I'm not going to do that.
You just slipped up.
That's right. I got one.
See that?
That's what I'm going to say again.
You see that?
Fuck that too.
He lost again. Look
exactly.
at that. And I was the one. Now I have a sneaky suspicion he did that on purpose.
Yes, he did.
But
because
whether he did it on purpose or accident, it doesn't matter.
No.
The fact of the matter is he lost self-control.
Yeah, he did.
And I told him, I told y'all,
longer. I told y'all. I'm sorry.
I was not gonna lose because
he was being too good.
No.
Dude, you're boring. Okay,
I don't care.
Yeah, I do.
I don't care.
I do.
I don't care.
I'd rather have a blend.
This is how it's gonna be from here on out.
Well, then you could be by yourself.
Clean.
You could be by yourself.
Clean green all the way.
You're gonna have to edit everything I say then.
Hey, well then you're gonna be the only one.
Okay.
Because when somebody tells me that I can't do something,
right? What's that?
It is my life mission to prove otherwise.
Okay. Hey. I agree with what you've done. Okay.
Negative, my friend.
What was that? No. I agree with what the point was, but also we have to go by what we actually commissioned this podcast.
No, from here on out it will be clean.
Okay.
I will be clean.
All right, you can be clean.
For the next few episodes. I'll be clean.
Well, because we're interpreting it, yeah, you have to be. I would have to be. The only reason I slipped or whatever is because, hey, you deserve a good hamburger. And I'm proud of you. You did real well. Because there were some things that you were saying that I could have just jumped. And then after I'd have said it, you would have had to come back.
I wouldn't have came back.
I would not have come back. You're good at that.
I would not have come back.
You're good at that.
No, I can be good at that, but I would not have come back.
What do you mean you're not good at that?
I can be.
Well, you are.
Look.
You are.
I win. You lose.
All right, no problem. Let's go take my daughter to the beach and go get something to eat. And then we'll, if we got time, we'll stick it out and then I'll get you to, don't forget, say meatballs and some other things. I got you some burgers too.
All right then. Yeah. Let's get her done. And all right. Sorry for the dull broadcast, but
I think it was intellectual. We're not going dull. It was intellectual. It made people think. I hope it made people think, without cussing or without, except for me, without cussing or without innuendo or without bringing our street cred involved. And we're still the same people. We're just tight asses, that's all.
Number 3. That's number 3. 3-0.
Hey, when you said they're blowing outside, I mean, come on. You had to step on that one. I had to step on that one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, whatever.
4-0. Now, Texas forever.
Hey, Mike, I did it on purpose, okay? That was for you, bud, because I know you like listening to this stuff.
He said I did. He said he had no faith in me.
Oh, that's true. He did.
If he would have saw how I showed up.
I got to take a picture. Hold on.
No, you're not.
I got to take a picture. Hold on.
Nope.
Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. That's your own personal.
And believe me, I got some jokes. Wait till you press the R button.
Hey, press it. I'm done. I'm out of here.
All right. Well, Texas forever.
Texas forever. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
You kung fu panda motherfucker.